It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at U-Like, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. U-Like. With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use amp pace.
And pace.
Watching the Pete Sousa Show, you have to forgive my voice. It's like this because of all the screaming I had to do to him when he was a kid. Anyway, it's going to be a great show because it's the best of the week. And also, I don't know what you're doing from the car, maybe.
No, it's a best of. They're going to rerun interviews like Brad Sham, the Cowboys play-by-play guy, Matt Mosley, Cowboys insider.
There you go.
Takeo Spikes, former NFL player, Tim Brando, right?
I don't know what he needs me for. Enjoy it, everybody. Bye.
Break and having Brad Sham wait 4 minutes. That's what I'm not doing. There he is. Hey, Brad, hang on 1 second. Can you?
Pete, I can wait 4 minutes if you want. That's not.
No. We don't make you wait, my man. Brad Sham, what's happening?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't been outside. It's everything's good. The weather's fantastic. I could stay here as long as they want me to.
What is your favorite part about heading out to training camp in Oxnard?
Have you looked at the weather?
Oh, it's Southern California, right?
Well, you have your phone there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Google the weather in Oxnard, California.
All right, let me check.
But before you read it to everybody, just tell them what the temperature is there today.
All right, so we got right now 65 and not a cloud in the sky.
That's in Oxnard.
Yeah, though that's in, that's right. Right now we got a high of 94 coming today, and there's not a cloud in the sky, and it's going to be some of that sizzling heat that kind of makes your skin percolate, Brad.
Right, and so in Oxnard today, it's I've got 64 and cloudy. If I went outside right now, I'd have to have a jacket. I'd have to pull my hood up on my hoodie. By the time they practice today at 4 o'clock Central Time, 2 o'clock here, the Rams are coming to practice today. It's actually going to be hot today. It's going to be around 77. And then if I go out to dinner tonight, I will need a jacket because it'll be down around 68. The part that I like best, Pete, about coming to training camp, it's the weather.
Hands down.
Yeah.
1977 to 83, this was the Cowboys radio analyst alongside Vern Lundquist.
Actually started in the middle of the season in 76.
Okay, started in the middle of the season in 70. What happened where you started in the middle of the season?
They had hired Chris Needham Al Wisk had been with them working with Vern and Frank Lieber when he felt like it. And Al got in a fight with the general manager at KRLD, which was the flagship station. And he left in the summer of 76. And they hired Chris Needham, who spent some time in Temple and Waco, and it just that apparently didn't work out. And so they were ready to do something different. The biggest part of the job was actually not doing the games with Vern. It was doing a show like this 5 nights a week. There were only 2 in town. And I had started one on the smaller station that I was at in 1972. And so KRLD started one to compete with it and blew it out of the water. And that was the biggest part of the job. And so it wasn't working out with Chris, and they called me in October. I was the PR director of the Chicago Sting of the North American Soccer League, and the soccer season had just ended. And so they called me, and I'm really compressing this story a lot, but I wound up starting in October.
I love hopping in the time machine and hearing stories like that and getting some of the history. For people that don't know the history of the Cowboys, everybody's talking, Jerry, and I understand that. We'll get to that right now. But when you started in 76, it was so much, the treatment of the media was glorious, right, by Tex Schramm. Like, what was it or was it not? You tell me. But I remember reading and just hearing stories from guys like you that it was a whole new, the media was treated in such a way that it sort of changed the coverage around the NFL.
That's a great point to debate. And people who were there, who were on the job even before I started, might have a different perspective. I think the really accurate way to say it would be that the whole media world was different. If you think about 1976, not only was there no internet, there was literally no ESPN. Literally. It didn't start until a few years later. So the media was the 3 local newspapers, and USA Today wasn't printing yet, and the 3 or 4 local TV stations, and then TV stations who would come in once or twice a week from around the state, and particularly in north central Texas, and then the national media, and that would be newspapers. And that was the media. Now, was the media treated differently? Yes, but the whole world was different. So access to players and coaches was completely different. And Tex was pretty famous for knowing how to deal with the media. He was also pretty famous for being really combustible. There's nobody, me included, Vern included, there is nobody who dealt with the Cowboys on a regular basis who at some point did not have at least one explosive fireworks blow up with Tex Schramm. And he had the great capacity of letting it go. I mean, 2 days later, he barely remembered it. Now, all his people around him did, and they could make your life difficult. But yeah, I mean, it was just a whole different world. It's almost not fair to compare it, but I think that if people in our business were being fair about it and looked back, they would say that it was relatively easy. The Cowboys made it easy to do your job. They didn't give you, and they didn't make it easy to be good at your job, but they made it easier to do your job. No one's doing anybody any favors today.
Well, you're out there now. I think the only training camp you have not seen the head coach, or the only head coach's tenure you haven't seen begin, is Tom Landry.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
You've seen them all get started.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Brian Schottenheimer starting his first training camp. What is the vibe around there that you're feeling? Brand new coach, turning the page on some stuff. What are you noting out there?
Well, from the time that we were given access to the 3 OTAs and the 3 minicamp days we could see, you could tell that there was an energy that wasn't here in the last couple of years. And that has a lot to do with Brian. It has a lot to do with a fairly young coaching staff, and they are high energy. He is, I think, doing a great job with the media because he answers every question. I mean, it may not be complete paragraphs on some things that he doesn't want to talk about, but maybe with 1 or 2 little subjects, he's not ducking anything. And he hasn't since the day he got the job. And that's a change. That's really unusual. I'd say that his openness, he uses the word authenticity a lot, and I think that it's true. I know a couple of veteran reporters who are already getting a little tired of hearing him say that, but I think it's true. I think he's who he is, and his enthusiasm is not like over the top, bubbly with rose-colored glasses, because he's been wanting to do this for a long time. But he knows what he's getting into. Look, being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is not the same thing as being the head coach of any other franchise. And in order to be successful, you have to understand that and embrace it and be able to deal with some of the things that might not happen in other places. And he has done a great job of that so far. He's very organized. He's very open with the players. Players love him. Now, all of that will not count for anything as soon as all of the offensive coordinators who have Twitter accounts get on there and start ripping him for play calls and touchdowns that don't get scored and players that don't perform well and games they lose. That'll all change. But right now, I think he's off to a really positive start. And also the expectations are low for him from the public and the media. He was not in all of the coaching conversations the last couple of years. Nobody was talking about, well, you got to hire Brian Schottenheimer like they were Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn or some of those other guys. And so I think expectations are low. The smart thing to me is the way that he's dealt with the media, which is open and fair. He gets a little longer leash. He creates for himself a little longer leash. And that will that'll get him through training camp anyway. We'll see what happens in Philadelphia.
Well, he's had a tough road to navigate so far in training camp. Obviously, the Micah contract. For you, who's been around it again, we mentioned, you see the whole field. And do you just see this getting done before the start of the regular season? Because folks from the outside, Brad, it's you mentioned fireworks. It's a fireworks display every time you turn around, but you're somewhat insulated, and you also have a great deal of history to lean on.
Yeah, well, I am somewhat insulated by the very nature of my job, and I've said more than once, either to myself or to people I've been walking by with, as beat writers are working in the media tent trying to put together the latest thing Micah has posted or Jerry's latest 20-minute press conference. I've said more than once, boy, I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. I'm just getting ready for the games. That's a two-edged sword, Pete, because on one hand, yeah, I think it'll get done. They want him. They want to pay him a lot of money. He's acting aggrieved, and he's going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 million a year on average. It's structure and years, but right now his feelings are hurt. And Jerry has always said he tries to follow the logic that you don't let your money get mad. I've seen him let his money get mad once or twice. It hadn't worked out well. But he's playing a little longer game. There are two things for a player to lose when you're in the middle of something like this. One is obviously money. If you hold out, if you don't play games, right now he's not losing anything. Really, now he would get a big fine having reported if he left camp, but he's not losing anything. They don't get paid except for a per diem until the regular season starts. Once you get in the regular season and you start missing game checks, that is serious money. And I've never known any of them who wanted, Emmett missed 2 games in 1990. And that wasn't this kind of money. It was a lot of money for them. So that's one thing that a player doesn't want to do, is lose money. The other thing is, and they're not all aware enough to get it at this stage of their life in the moment, but you don't get those games back. You don't get years back. So their opportunity to play the game they love and show off and take advantage of all the other opportunities that stuff provides, that stuff is limited, and you don't want to miss those. And he doesn't want to miss them. Michael wants to play. He knows he's going to get paid. Right now it's about feelings. So you just have to let that go. We still have 2 weeks. We got, what's today? Tuesday? We've still got the better part of 2 weeks out here. And then you've got another 2 weeks before, maybe 3 before the regular season starts. So stuff has a way of getting done, and they have never shied away from the philosophy of deadlines make deals. I don't like it particularly, but no one cares what I like, and fans don't like it. It's ludicrous to say pay Micah. Of course they're going to pay Micah. On the other hand, no one ever wants to put themselves in the position of the owner who's dealing with a hard salary cap. And so I think that now I'm just getting into the why is this going on, and people just want to say, oh, it's just Jerry. Well, yeah, there's some of it. I mean, Jerry's who he is, and Jerry likes the drama. That's what makes Jerry different from the rest of us. Jerry loves the drama. He lives for it. You don't want to, when he said the other day when we I started to say when we came back out here, but we never left. When he said, I would tell Cowboy fans, don't lose any sleep over it, the day after Micah put out the big Instagram post. And that's because these things almost always work out. I would just refer you back to Myles Garrett a year ago. I mean, he said almost the same things. I'm done in Cleveland. Trade me. It's been swell. See you later. And then in 2 weeks he's got a new lifetime contract.
Yeah.
But the thing that is not knowable is how much time does he miss? What kind of shape is he in? Football shape. I think it's to his credit and benefit that these hold-ins instead of holdouts are not bad things. So he is out there every day, and he's spending time in the meetings, and he's trying to pick up from Matt Eberflus what the defense is going to ask of him and give him the opportunity to do. So he wouldn't be coming in cold, but the training of the body for football specific work and position specific work, that's hard to get. And I'd be very careful. They will have to be careful depending on when he gets done they'll have to be careful about how they avoid soft tissue injuries with that kind of thing. I mean, but it's unfortunate. And this is where, look, this is my 47th year doing this, and it's all of them that, except for the three I did the Rangers in the 90s with Jerry, and nobody, him or Tex before him, nobody's ever asked me my opinion about how to do anything. So, I think you run the risk of the negativity that Micah is putting out in social media rubbing off on the other players. It's impossible for them to ignore the drama. They're doing the best they can. And, but we'll see, we'll have a spirited show to watch when they practice against the Rams today. And then the 3 preseason games will be interesting. But I mean, logic just tells you that it will get done at some point.
I love that the one thing that Micah Parsons and I have in common, you can hit me over the head with a hammer, and that's okay. But Joe, don't hurt my feelings, because then it's a whole nother story. It's a whole nother story.
Well, that's the difference between Micah, in my opinion. That's the difference between Micah and C.D. Lamb and Dak Prescott the last couple of years, and Zach Martin 2 years ago. Those guys are mature and they understand the deal. I think Micah kind of lives out on the edge a little bit more, and he is much more willing to use social media to burn a bridge to take care of what he feels like right this minute. And that's, what we're trying to do here is in the world is build lasting relationships. And that's a little tough. That's a little tough on that when you're pouring every available thought onto social media. That's not always a good idea.
No. All right. A couple more questions for you, because I know you got a busy day. You mentioned Matt Eberflus. How much change can he ignite as this team's defensive coordinator? Because obviously defense was a huge issue. I think this change could really work out for the Cowboys. Do you feel the same way?
I do, but I would say defense as an issue, we all are working on recency bias, Pete. It was only 4 years ago that Dan Quinn, it was 5 years ago that Mike McCarthy came in. Well, I guess it'd be 6 because Mike had a 5-year, 20. In 2020, admittedly a difficult year because of COVID.
Yeah.
The staff that Mike hired produced the statistically worst defensive team the Cowboys had ever had, statistically. Now, he hired those guys. They turned the staff over, and Dan Quinn came in, and their defense was the talk of the world, right? And they were in the playoffs for 3 years in a row, won 12 games, 3 years in a row. That had neither of those things had been done with this franchise in 30 years. Wasn't enough, but the defense was not the problem. It was all the rage, and it's why Dan's the head coach in Washington now. Matt Eberflus he's got a different approach than Mike Zimmer, and I think Zim's scheme could have worked with the right players. But last year, when we talk about how bad the defense was, and it was, but they lost 4 defensive ends all at once for a month. And then they lost all but about 2 players of their secondary. And one of those, arguably the best one, Jordan Lewis, is now in Jacksonville. And at the same time, they didn't have their quarterback much of the year. And so without any offense to support what you're doing defensively, then the pressure builds on the other side. So, yeah, the defense was bad last year, but those injuries, nobody could have survived those. So I think they did more to bring players in. I think that the veteran players they brought in will be really helpful. None of them's Dick Butkus, or none of them's Leroy Jordan or Bob Lilly, but that's okay. They're going to be improvements for the most part over what they've had. They're not going to have Trayvon Diggs until I don't know when, while he rehabs his knee. They're not going to have the rookie Savon Rebel until I'm sure he's going to miss a month, the first month of the season. And he's supposed to be phenomenal. But I didn't see him play in college, and I haven't seen him play yet because he's been rehabbing all spring and summer. So they don't have those guys. And then Josh Butler, who came off the practice squad last year, did a really nice job, filled in. He's still rehabbing. So it doesn't matter how good the scheme is if the players aren't good enough. I said to people last year when they lost all those defensive ends, you can have the best scheme in the world. They could have got you and me and signed us and taught us the defense perfectly, and we could have learned it, and we could have lined up and done everything right, and we'd have gotten our tires blown off because we wouldn't be good enough to play those guys on the offenses on the other side of the ball. So the scheme is only as good as the players, and if their players aren't good enough, then it really doesn't matter. I do think Eberflus is really good. He knows what he's doing. I thought that when he was here coaching the linebackers with the Cowboys before, and I think he did a really good job in Indianapolis as the defensive coordinator. He knows what he wants, and he knows how to communicate it. And there's some guys who are out there who have had exposure to him, and they believe in him. So, yeah, I think they'll be better, but they got to have their players.
Okay, two more questions for you. Because there's a lot of tension around training camp, at least from the outside, around all the contract stuff. What's the biggest reason for optimism this year for Cowboys fans?
I mean, the quarterback is healthy. That's one thing. Yeah, I think the offense is pretty good. I think the offensive line is going to be better. It starts with that. Their biggest problem with the offense, besides the quarterback being hurt, was the offensive line just not being very good last year. Cooper Beebe was a rookie. Guyton really never got the hang of it. Zach Martin was a shell of himself because he was hurt. So they just weren't good enough in the offensive line. If you're not good enough in the offensive line, you can't function. That line, given good health, looks to be a lot better. And the quarterback looks great. And I don't know if I would have signed or traded for Pickens if it was me, but for a year, you're not risking very much. And he looks great. His attitude's been great. And I mean, it looks like, just from the pure football standpoint, I think they've got two dynamic wide receivers. I think they've got a real plan for how they want to use Turpin and maybe even Deuce Vaughn if he gets healthy again. And I think they are going to commit to the running game, which I think is a good thing. So I think there's a lot of reason for optimism, especially on that side of the ball.
You used to talk last year on some of your broadcasts, like every year Mike Sherman would say we're committing to the run, but he just didn't. He just couldn't stick to it.
Mike McCarthy, you talking about? Mike said it. He said it for 2 years in a row anyway, and he either didn't mean it or he just got away from it in a hurry. I think Schottenheimer means it, and that's why they've signed some of the people that they've signed, and I think we'll see it in some of the schemes. And if you can run, you can throw when you want to throw. If you can't run, then you have to throw, and they play differently against you defensively, and it puts pressure on everybody all up and down the offensive lineup. So I don't think you have to have, balance stopped being 50-50 a long time ago. Balance is maybe 65-35 now. If you can be balanced and you can run when you want to run, then you can pass when you want to pass. And then if you have the players, you can get something done. So yeah, I believe him. I'm dumb. I'll believe him until he proves us wrong. But I think he means it.
You mentioned Dak's health. Is Joe Milton ready to come in there if he were called on? Is he a better backup than, let's say, Cooper Rush? Hard for you to assess.
But the problem is, it's not just when you evaluate that. It's not just a question of who is physically more talented. I mean, Cooper. I don't know what he got to sign in Baltimore, but it was a pretty good sum, and he had earned his way into a nice veteran's salary. And Joe Milton's got a lot of physical characteristics, a lot of things to love. And we won't know, really, I don't know if we'll ever know, but we will certainly have a better idea 4 weeks from now, after he's played in some preseason games, how he will react to stressful situations on the field. The worst quarterback in the league can make most of the throws. The thing that separates quarterbacks is the decisions they make. How do you see the field? How well do you know what your options are? And what do you do when the play breaks down? Dak's really good at that. And we'll see. You won't see fully in preseason because teams don't scheme. But there'll be people who don't mean him well running after him and trying to tackle him. And he'll have some decisions to make. He's got really impressive physical gifts. So we'll see. He's only been a year, in the NFL. Will he be as good a backup quarterback as Cooper Rush? He'll do some things better. He won't see the field as well. I thought myself, and I like Cooper Rush. I thought he took a step back last year from the player that he'd been the year before, and given the money, and given the fact that it's a hard salary cap, and you knew you had Parsons and Ferguson and Tyler Smith and Bland and Aubrey, and these people all need new contracts. I don't believe I would have invested that money in Cooper at this point. Now, if you think you've got a real Super Bowl team and the quarterback play might be the difference, then you spend a little bit more money. I think that's the case in Baltimore. That's what they think. Then you spend a little bit more money on a backup quarterback. So will he be as good a backup quarterback as Cooper Rush? In some areas, yes. In some areas, no. But hopefully we won't have to find out.
All right, I'll let you out of here on this. A question on August 5th that you probably don't love to get, but you're Brad Sham, so I got to ask you. Is this a playoff team?
Maybe. It's got a chance. I don't think I'd bet all my kids' futures on it. But every year, every single year, there are teams who we know on August 5th are great, and they turn out to stink. And there are teams who we know stink, and they turn out to be playoff teams. So how healthy do you stay? How do you grow as a team? This is one of the most difficult schedules they've had in quite some time. And I am not one who likes to complain about the schedule because they're all pros and they shouldn't have easy games. But they happen to have the bad luck this year of playing two of the divisions, the AFC West and the NFC North, who are the most competitive. They got to play all those teams. So you got to play Detroit and Minnesota and Green Bay, and you got to play the Broncos and the Chiefs and the Chargers, and that's just bad luck. And based on what we know now and the way it looks, the second half of the schedule looks really, really difficult coming out of the bye. And there's a lot of difficult travel and stuff. So I wouldn't say that I wouldn't bet on it because I know these guys too well to ever bet money on them. But I wouldn't bet on it being a playoff team, but I wouldn't bet against it either. They have the opportunity to compete for that, and that just depends on them and how well they come together.
Well, looking forward to seeing it. Looking forward to hearing the soundtrack to the season. Thanks to you, Brad Sham.
Thanks.
It's an honor, Brad, to have you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day and stay inside in the air conditioning.
You got it. That's Brad Sham, everybody, the Hall of Famer. All right, we're going to come back, react to his legendary commentary, and there was a lot on the bone there, and just always great.
Did you know nearly all stock price changes of 10% or more result from a single news headline? These news catalysts create trading opportunities every day. All you need is a little help to reach out and take them. It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
MosleyMD.com. I've always had thin hair my whole life. It breaks off at a certain length. In the last 6 months, I've noticed it just really bad. I mean, you could totally see it. I wear a hat a lot. I tried several different products. My experience with the Mosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again. MosleyMD.com.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Join us at GolfPartnerUSA.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GolfPartnerUSA.com. Golf Partner.
Since 2003, Bluehost has been empowering people to harness their brands online with innovative web hosting solutions. Trusted by over 2 million users, we're the longest-running WordPress.org recommended host. With Bluehost, you get a safer, better web experience, supported by the world's most popular site builder, and backed by our commitment to open source projects. Visit Bluehost.com today and take your website to the next level.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internx.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress. It's like a wearable hug for your nervous system that helps you calm down and feel better. The Apollo wearable will send gentle vibrations to your body, like a song you can feel instead of hear. You feel better, you sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Elevate your experience with Grenco Science, the leaders in cutting-edge vaporizers. Whether you're at home or on the go, our sleek, powerful devices deliver smooth, consistent hits every time. Quality you can trust, innovation you can feel. Grenco Science. Take your vapor game to the next level. Visit us at GrencoScience.com.
It all began with a simple idea, cutting handles off old ski sticks to create better pull-up bars. This sparked the creation of the revolutionary Engels 90 handles. After testing over 70 prototypes with 300 athletes, our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
And he has been to every Cowboys training camp since 2003. Mose, you there?
I am. You got me?
Oh, dude, I got you. I heard you on Cowherd yesterday. Crushed it.
Oh, good. Good. Thank you. It was, that was fun and did that from my training camp. And so.
Can I tell you what, one of the things I really gleaned from that the Cowherd interview?
What's that?
You looked really handsome, man. You really did. You were really put together. I was like, wow, is this, Mose looks great.
I think you're saying I'm usually pretty haggard or something, but thank you. I'll take it. I for once didn't have a cap on and tried to clean up, but I appreciate that.
You look sharp. All right, who's looking sharp out of training camp? You were there yesterday. We'll talk about some of the drama, but football first. They had an they had an exhibition or scrimmage with the Rams. Anything jump out at you personnel football-wise?
Well, I will say the two the defensive line, the O-line, I mean, they got dominated. And, again, it is a practice. It's a joint practice. You want to see how everybody looks in that kind of setting. And I'll just say, I'll start with the Cowboys offense. They could not run the ball against the Rams. And maybe the Rams, obviously the Cowboys don't have Micah Parsons, but the Rams have Jared Verse. They have a former first-round pick, last name of Fisk, Brandon Fisk. I mean, they were running linebackers through there like you cannot imagine. So I would say, at least on that joint practice, based on that, boy, this offense has a long way to go. And that's a little scary because I can't really put it too much on the running backs. Guys are just getting blown up at the point of attack. And the Cowboys obviously are missing their starting left tackle right now. We'll see when Tyler Guyton comes back, and they get that rookie in there at guard, in Tyler Booker. But it was a real struggle for the Cowboys to try to move the ball on the Rams. And then, I would just say, it's always funny. You go to one of those practices and you're like, wait a second. Oh, Devontae Adams. That's right. He plays for the Rams. The guy's been with several places now. And goodness gracious, I thought Devontae Adams was kind of past his prime and he was making plays all over the time. Puka Nacua was making huge plays. So I would say it was a good learning experience for the Cowboys, but it did not go beautifully.
Well, you've learned a lot about the Cowboys, obviously, in your coverage of the team for years, your relationship with folks in the front office, Jerry Jones included. This, standoff we're engaged in right now with Micah Parsons. You did a great job illustrating how Micah yesterday was out of practice. He didn't have the team gear on, right? So they got him to put the team-issued gear on. Still has not spoken, or Jerry Jones still hasn't spoken to his representatives or him as of late yesterday. This thing, and you and Werder do a great job with this. Obviously, the Doomsday podcasts are up. You guys are crushing it out there. Okay, so this comes to an end September 1st, let's say. Does this, Matt, in all your years covering the circus around the team, does it impact the way the guys play on the field? Does this chip away at the Cowboys' ultimate goal of winning a championship?
I don't know how it can't. Just listening to Brian Schottenheimer talk about what they're missing by not having Micah out there and not having him screaming off the edge and working against some of these young tackles and guards. If they go against somebody of that caliber on a daily basis, then maybe Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk and some of these guys that arrived with the Rams wouldn't have been so dominant. I'm telling you, Jared Verse was blowing up every single play. It was really, I think, kind of dispiriting for the Cowboys. So yeah, I think it certainly can impact on the field. Now, if he signs, I said yesterday how I thought this thing would go. I do think he still signs, right around the time that Eagles-Cowboys game is. I believe that's September 4th. So, by September 1st, he's going to sign. It'll have all kinds of drama. And there you go. And he's going to be out there. Will he be full tilt? No, how can he? You can stand next to Eberflus in practice. You could take all the great mental reps. Apparently, he's been good in meetings. And I do think Schottenheimer has handled this really well, but it's a tricky deal because Schottenheimer has smartly kind of sided with a player here and the players, the teammates are still right there with Micah. And then that's okay. Like, Jerry doesn't mind that. Jerry does love the players, and he likes being friends with some of them and all that, and he has over the years, but he's fine with that. He can live with that. But I think it absolutely hurts the on-field product for this to be happening, for him not to be out there. And right now you got two major sort of attitude issues. You got Trayvon Diggs is mad at the Cowboys, and he just kind of pouting around, doing some rehab stuff. I think they believe he would have been further along and would have been out there with the Cowboys had he done more of his rehab with them instead of doing it off-site. And so, I mean, those are two of your best players on defense. Arguably, your best two defensive players are not practicing, not happy, and just kind of, in Mopeville, just kind of moping around out there.
Yeah, with Diggs, I mean, it's a money thing, right? Like, they took almost $500,000 from him, like, rightfully so, I guess. That was what he had coming, right, for not showing up to those off-season workouts or rehab.
Yeah, for sure.
But you had a great point. You interviewed George Pickens, an exclusive. That's on the Doomsday Pod. You guys got to check that out on the Rogue Media Network. But you've done a wonderful job illustrating, I think, what the average player thinks about being a Cowboy. Right? Because George Pickens is in Cowboy camp, and he is thrilled to be there. And I think that is a glowing example as to why Micah Parsons would never leave, and the Cowboys can almost call his quote-unquote bluff, right? Because being a Cowboy is a destination for guys in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says. That's my opinion. You're in that 4 o'clock window, right? Every Sunday afternoon, or you're playing on NBC or Monday Night Football. It's a special thing to be a Cowboy. And George Pickens seems to be embracing that. How do you feel like that's impacting the offensive side of the ball right now and the team?
Well, I mean, Pickens seems to be in a really good place. And I was having flashbacks as I interviewed him to him, catching passes against the Bears in the Sugar Bowl. I was reminded of him rising above some of the defensive backs there and making plays. I guess that would have been I don't know which one that was. Was that the first? The 2019. Yeah, Matt Rule was on. He was headed to the NFL right as that game ended, I believe. But
one foot in Charlotte at the time, I think.
That's right. Yeah. But no, I think Pickens is. You can just feel it, and sometimes guys sort of need a get out of jail free card, and the Cowboys got him for they didn't have to give up huge draft capital, I think a third and a future 5. And I mean, you just watch him operate and you can make the argument that this is the best duo they've had in a long, long time. I mean, Amari and CD were pretty good together, but that was a younger version of CD before he had truly emerged as kind of the number one guy. And now CD's that guy, feels very comfortable being in the spotlight. And you're watching someone who hasn't been, we're so we put Dak Prescott under the microscope at all times. And I think that's appropriate. But the flip side to that is, look at the situation Pickens has been playing with in Pittsburgh, because you got Pickett, you had Russell Wilson, you got Fields. There just has not been really any stability there, and he still put up really, really good numbers. So he is just in heaven at the thought of playing with a quarterback who not only is better than those guys, but throws the best routes that Dak throws are the ones Pickens runs. And that's those vertical routes, the goes, and that's pretty nice of a quarterback to be able just to throw it up and know his guy. There's a great chance he's going to go up and make a play on it. So, we'll see once they get into the season, but I would say that's been one of the more positive storylines to come out of this camp.
A couple more for you, because I know you got a busy day. You're going to talk to Stephen Jones and Brian Schottenheimer today. for the Rogue Media Network and the Doomsday Podcast. You are very busy out there. You mentioned the wide receiver group. How important is that in your experience covering the Cowboys to have two good wide receivers opening the door for that third one to find room and operate, whether it's underneath or behind the coverage?
Well, I think it's huge, and it'll be. I think those guys have been so good that it's taken a little pressure off whoever's going to be the third receiver. Jonathan Mingo's actually had a pretty good camp, but Jalen Tolbert made a great catch the other day. My first practice I saw, made a contested catch down the sideline, just a beautiful deep ball adjustment that he made. And so I think that's I think Tolbert will settle in, then Mingo, and then even Jalen Brooks made a gorgeous catch. Went up and plucked the ball over the top of McQuamu the other day. I think it has a trickle-down effect. And, I mean, this is the best situation. Believe me, I've been here when they just have a horrible situation. Like you can look at the receivers and go, I have no clue who is the number one receiver, the number two receiver. They've had seasons like that, and that's what led them to have to make that Amari Cooper trade. They were so bad early that season that they had to trade a first-round pick to go get Amari Cooper several years ago. That was like 17, 18, whenever that happened, and it worked. But you don't want to have to do something like that. So, yeah, I think there's a trickle-down effect on the offense, and I think that, with Ferguson tied in, and then the other guy, a real X-factor who I didn't mention, Kavontae Turpin is having an incredible camp. And he catches everything. They're going to use him a ton. Gadget guy, great return guy. So if you can keep him off the streets, keep him out of the Maserati, you got a good chance of getting him through the season.
All right, how about Schottenheimer? Now, I think two things can be true at one time. I think that Schottenheimer is a guy who Jerry finds great comfort in. And you have made great points in the past saying, you cannot underestimate comfort level with Jerry Jones. At the same time, I believe this guy has the bones to be a great NFL head coach. And this opportunity has presented itself through maybe a comfort level of Jerry's or whatever. But I think the pieces are in place for the Cowboys to surprise some people. What are your thoughts on Schottenheimer's first camp? Again, you've seen so many. What are you seeing out of Schottenheimer this preseason? What's the vibe and what are your expectations?
Man, just a guy who is, extremely comfortable, seems to, bring a great deal of energy. He's a guy who has really tapped into his inner Pete Carroll. I think Pete Carroll had maybe almost as big an impact on him as his own father, Marty Schottenheimer, had. And so, which is weird because he ended up firing him at one point, but they still have a great relationship, actually. And, there's one thing, I don't think I've told you this before. When I did a story, or I was calling around, had an interview with a guy who used to be on staff with Schottenheimer. And when Schottenheimer got fired and was out of the league for a little bit, he wrote letters to all of his former assistant coaches, guys he'd worked with when he was a coordinator and had been on his staff. And he asked for them to give him, I think he even let it be anonymous if they wanted to. I can't remember exactly how he set it up, but he wanted to survey and go, what I did wrong, what I was good at doing, what I was bad at doing, where do I need to grow the most, all that. And I think that kind of says a lot about him, that, too many times we hear people talk about, let's have a growth mindset, and that it kind of gets old, right? Hearing things like that. But then to see a guy actually live it and do it and desperately want to get better, I think that speaks very highly of him. But I will say to the naked eye, the way this team is practicing and responding to this coach, it's a different animal than what we were used to. So with McCarthy, and even before that with Jason Garrett, there's a real energy, The pace is different. The players are really responding. So again, we'll see what happens when the games actually get going. But I would say, other than the Micah stuff just being like an enormous daily distraction, he's managed things really well, and the players seem to be responding to him in a big way. And he's been tremendous with the media, which we always appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. The cowherd move when he turned his visor around was awesome yesterday. All right, so last question for you. You know, you're out in Oxnard. You've done it in San Antonio, but I imagine you really like Southern California. What's your favorite part about getting back out to training camp there, just to kind of kick off a brand new season? Even if it's something related to that area, what's your favorite part about going to training camp in Oxnard?
Oh, man, I stay right next to the ocean and just going on. I mean, just getting out there, getting a long walk, go down on the pier, and that just inspires me, kind of gets me going a little bit. You know, we got a big Baylor season coming up. Scotty and I and Pete, you'll be a part of it. Faith, we're going to be doing pregame and stuff. And so, you know, it gives me a chance to kind of clear my head a little bit, do that, get out, get prepared, get excited for that. But just, yeah, I mean, I'm a beach guy. I love it. I love both. I mean, I just came from the Florida beach. This beach is a little windier, a little colder to be out. The water's a little colder, but it invigorates me to look out there and see that ocean. So I just love all that. And then we have our old haunts. I go to Andrea's and get the clam strips. And then last night we tried a new place, Yolanda's Mexican food. You know, I'm such a Tex-Mex guy. Have a hard time accepting other people's version of Mexican food, but pretty good. They make a strong flauta. And so, yeah, it was good to kind of gather around. And I got to say, I'm just so appreciative of Corey and the whole gang and John. I mean, it just, by the way, Zach has just been doing an unbelievable. Yeah. Zach Burke, the Z-Man. I mean, he at one point was assigned to me, and I think it's changed his life, perhaps not for the better. But he's been incredible, just turning stuff around quickly, just a great attitude. And you have to have that with guys like, you know, I'm easier to deal with than Ed. Ed is one of America's great divas. But Z has just hung in there beautifully. So Rogue Media Network and the financial commitment they've made is really impressive. And listen, I've been at places where I basically had to pay my own way, and just because people were cheap. I'm not naming names or naming companies or anything like that. And for the most part, I had places that were great about it, but I'm just saying I've done it the other way, and this is the better way. And Rogue does it first class, so I'm appreciative of that.
No, we're lucky. We're lucky to have you as a part of the family. All right, I lied. One last one, quick one, because I know you got to go. What does Jerry Jones do when he sees Matt Mosley at training camp? Because he knows you're feisty.
Yeah, I just kind of, I gets a little bit of a smile, like, what are you up to? What do I have to, what am I about to endure? But we have not really had much one-on-one time, but occasionally I'll get a little wink. And he has this weird little style where he tries to zero in on like one person, kind of stare at him. And I'm just like, don't be me today. It makes you feel uncomfortable. And he doesn't really mean anything by it. It's like some kind of strategy. Some media consultant told him a long time ago, and he'll just lock eyes on you and stay on you for about 5 minutes. And it's just weird. Just like, Jerry, I'm not, I don't even do this with my wife. I really don't want to be locking eyes with you. So it's a strange deal, but it's good to see him. And later this morning we'll be with Stephen Jones, and then as you said, Brian Schottenheimer. So it'll be great. But it's fun to be on with you and Scotty. I appreciate you having me.
Great having you. And with your new cleaned up look, I can only imagine Jerry will be looking at you awfully soon, buddy. We'll talk to you soon, Matt Mosley. Appreciate you, dude.
All right, bye, guys.
Matt Mosley, member of the Rogue Media Network, obviously been on the Cowboys beat for a very long time, and delivering the goods once again. All right, we'll take a break. We're going to come back, and we will get into this is where things get a little hostile around here, the college football playoff predictions. Scotty Swingler. Scotty Swingler is our resident college football expert. Dude, I'm a play-by-play guy. I mean, who has sports and football in his bones, but I'm not the prognosticator that Scotty is. And we're going to come back from this break, and we'll show you exactly why. Pete Sousa Show continues.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.